I'm not gonna lie, the Kevin Durant pick threw off so much of my strategy, but oh, this is stressful.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Locked In Podcast. My name is Ani,
My name is Shri.
and today we have some very special guests for a very special episode. Today, myself, Shri, and our four guests that are joining us will be doing an NBA all-time draft, where we will be drafting our team of NBA legends. And with us today, we have some great guests. We have Anuj, we have Deshant, we have Neil, and we have Zach. Guys, welcome to the podcast. Really great to have you all. So I just want to ask you guys real quick, what are your guys' draft strategies going into this? Dish, we'll start with you. What are you going into this?
I'm gonna stick to my instincts based on who I've seen highlights for, who I've really liked, and try to go from there. Try to pick up some good picks today.
So Anuj, I know I spoke with you the other day with Ani, and you were going into the advanced stats for a bunch of players, bunch of debates. So is that going to carry over for today?
Yeah, I mean, my biggest thing for picking players is first two-way, can they guard, can they be on offense, and efficiency. I think efficiency is very necessary when picking a player, and that I'm just going to go off of the advanced stats and obviously a little bit of eye test.
So Zach, I know you have a favorite team, the Spurs. Are you going to be choosing based on that, or do you have a different strategy?
I do have to adhere to Spurs culture. I have to. It's Spurs Nation, but also have to give a quick shout out to Baylor basketball, who beat Ani's Longhorns not only once but twice this last season. So that may come into account as well.
Oh my
Always
god!
roasting the Longhorns, but
All right, finally we got Neil. I know you're a huge D Wade fan, but you're also a Warrior fan. So I guess when you're going for that guard spot, what are you thinking in terms of drafting?
It's going to be difficult. I'm trying to compare different generation stats and trying to compare, within this generation, how this person did as compared to a different time. But yeah, I gotta keep rest to my boy D Wade. It's kind of hard to think away from that. But, MJ is kind of a bit of an issue, if I have that luxury. So we'll see.
All right, we will see. But Ani, you wanna get started with this draft generator? We're gonna do a snake draft similar to some fantasy leagues, and let's just get to it. Ani, let's do it.
yeah. Before we get into that real quick, just the rules for our viewers and our listeners. We've compiled a list of 100 players, partially based off ESPN 74 NBA greatest all-time players list they put out earlier this year. We randomly are going to assign a draft order right now, and then based on that, each player will have around 30 to 45 seconds to choose their player and sort of justify why. We're going to have 6 rounds, so we're basically creating a starting 5 and 1 6th man. At the end of our 6 rounds, we're going to have a roast section where we're all going to roast each other's teams and defend why we've made the best pick. So without further ado, let's get into it. So here we have our beautiful draft simulator. Let's randomly generate this draft order, guys. Okay,
Let's go. Let's go.
Ani have the first pick. Anuj has the second pick. Deshant has the third pick. Shri has the fourth pick. Zach, you have the fifth pick. And Neil, you have the sixth pick. So, not looking very good for me, but I guess with that out of the way, it's time to start this draft. And I have the first pick. And I can't really do anything other than choose Michael Jordan. I mean, it's the first pick. It's either that or LeBron. I feel like it's a 50-50 for some people. For me, I'm choosing Michael Jordan, greatest of all time, especially after seeing The Last Dance during quarantine. But I don't really have a choice. So, yeah, guys, I'm choosing Michael Jordan, my first pick. So, Nude, on to you.
Oh, one sec. Okay, so I mean, as you said, it's kind of obvious you were going between Michael and LeBron, so I'm gonna have to take LeBron. He's just a walking triple double, one of the best 2 players of all time. So I'm very happy with that pick.
Now, Deshant, the third pick is up to you, and this is where I think it gets a little bit more challenging. I think the first 2 are, really obvious, but this third pick, what are you gonna do with it?
So I was gonna go with a big man, but I think it's easy to lock down what the next player. I think I'm gonna have to go with Kobe. Kobe Bryant, Kobe Bean.
Oh, Dish, you left the door open. I really thought you were gonna take the player I'm gonna take now. So with the fourth pick, I'm gonna take Magic Johnson. Undoubtedly the greatest facilitator in NBA history. With size and that passing ability, he just makes everyone around him better, and I'm really happy with that fourth pick.
I think you really left the door wide open for a lot of players that could get drafted, but we'll see how it all shapes out. So Zach, now it's on to you. Who are you going to draft with the fifth pick in this draft?
Now I anger a lot of people with my top 5 and my top 10 list, but I have to stick by it. With the number 5 pick, I'm picking Steph Curry.
Ooh.
What a
Okay.
shakeup.
No player attracts that much defense, that much gravity in a given game, and I think that's a good start for my team. I like it.
I don't have a problem with that pick at all.
Yeah, of course, you don't have a problem with that pick. You're the biggest Warrior fanboy, but I'm just glad the person who picked the Warriors player wasn't Shree for the first time.
I mean, yeah, I'm a Spurs fan. I'm not supposed to do this, but I also rep the Bay. I'm like, nothing's more revolutionary than Steph Curry in the Bay Area. So there you go.
Facts.
All right, Neil, you have the last pick in the first round. Let's see what you're going to go with here.
All right, I gotta give respect to the person who doesn't get enough recognition to this day. Arguably the best player of all time before Michael Jordan was even, relevant. I'm going with Kareem. Stats machine.
I can't believe Kareem fell to the 6th pick, yo.
I'm surprised too. I thought he was gonna go first.
He has the most unguardable shot in NBA history.
Incredibly.
And Neil, lucky for you, you have another pick. So with the first pick in the second round, 7th pick overall, who are you going with to back up your great number 6 pick, a steal, if I will say, with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar?
I gotta go with, again, one of the best scorers of all time, Kevin Durant.
No.
Taking
Oh
a
my
lot of picks
God.
off a lot of draft
Yo.
picks for a lot of other people.
Close the door.
That's crazy. I can't. All right. I'm not going to say anything. All right, Zach. What up?
When you said best score, I was a little scared he was going to snipe my pick because I think I have one of the best scores. I'm going to go with Wilt Chamberlain.
Very admirable pick.
Thank you.
Legend, one of the greatest. So, only person ever score 100 points. I'm surprised he dropped to the 8th overall pick in this draft, but this is a draft chock full of surprises already in the first 2 rounds. So, Shree, now it's your turn. What crazy move are you going to do this time?
I'm not going to lie. The Kevin Durant pick threw off so much of my strategy, but this is stressful. I'm going to have to go Tim Duncan. He's the most consistent player in NBA history. 15-time All-NBA, 15-time All-Defense, 15-time All-Star. One of the best defensive players of all time. And I'm just getting 20 and 11 for his whole career. And there's nothing bad people can ever say about Tim Duncan. I'm pretty sure he's going to become the next great head coach, former player turned head coach. So, I got no issues with Timmy D here.
Zach didn't take that.
It hurt me to pass up. But when Will's there, you got to do it.
Honestly, I think a very good pick. Good job, Shree. But I know Zach's inner Spurs fan is dying. But Dish, it's your turn now with another pick. What are you gonna do in this situation? There's a lot of options for you to consider.
I think I'm gonna have to go with the big man himself, Bill Russell, the Mr. 11 championships. This guy is a legend for the Boston Celtics, and he's a prime defender. And I think he's definitely gonna attribute well to my team.
Interesting. Is it Anuj next? If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, when you said the big man, I got scared that you're going to take my guy. I'm going to have to take the big diesel, Shaq. He's going to back everyone down. That's just what he does. Just throw that 350-pound weight.
Great pick, Anuj. Great pick. Looking at this, I got really scared someone was going to pick the player I'm going to pick next, but I think I have to do it to him. I'm going to have to pick the Celtics legend, Larry Bird. Out of the players left, I think he's arguably one of the best, and just for me, he's one of the greatest of all time. I love watching his highlights. So I'm going to go ahead and pick Larry Bird. And with that,
I don't think it's arguable that he was the best. I think it's like a clear
I
cut
think he's one of the
conclusion.
best.
Yeah.
I think let's go ahead and show our viewers that are watching on YouTube what the teams look like right now, and we'll read the teams out to our listeners. So, Team Ani, I have Michael Jordan and Larry Bird so far in the first 2 rounds. Team Shree has Magic Johnson and Tim Duncan. Team Manoj has LeBron James and Shaq, 2 former teammates. Team Zach has Steph Curry and Will Chamberlain going for the guard and the center. Nice opposition there. Team Dish has Kobe and Bill Russell, and Team Neal has Kevin Durant and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And honestly, the teams are looking pretty fair right now. I wouldn't say one team is very ahead of the other. You could argue that the teams are more or less kind of even right now based on personal preference. But I think the later rounds are really where we're going to shake things up.
See, I think the teams are going to tend to look even when we're picking from the 20 like greatest players in NBA history. There's bound to be some level of competition there.
I do agree. I think the first 3 picks for everyone are going to be, but I think, as I said, the later round, 4th, 5th, and 6th pick for each player and for each team is going to be pretty crazy. So now it's my turn, and I'm going to have to pick Hakeem Olajuwon with this one. I think with the players left, there's a few good ones, but I just have my eye on Hakeem Olajuwon, a great player. So
Is he a center or power forward?
we'll see how this draft shapes up. But I think the good thing is he gives you the versatility to play both. So
I thought we were going to keep this draft positionless, man.
I think to a point, but
I mean, but like I feel like positionless. If you have like Durant as your center, like it's not going to be fun.
No,
You know,
but
like,
like the
it can
example, like I guess like Tim Duncan can play power forward.
Yeah,
or center.
exactly.
Like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, that works.
And also, like in the older generations, I think like all players were usually like specified for a specific position. Like in like now, players can like you can have like LeBron James playing point guard. Like it doesn't really matter. Like it's kind of different in terms of generational basketball.
All right, let's keep this going then. Ani, you just
I just
went.
finished picking. So
Yeah.
it's Anuj, it's your turn. What do you have with the pick in the 3rd round?
It's my turn. I'm gonna have to go for this guy. He's a beast. He won 1 championship. I'm gonna have to take Kevin Garnett. So he leads his team in all 5 categories. I'm a big fan of Kevin Garnett.
Yeah, he's definitely a legend, and he might be the future owner of the Minnesota Timberwolves. We'll see how things shake up. So
Hopefully he's not as bad as Jordan.
that's a pretty low bar to set. But Dish, it's your pick, man. What are you gonna do now?
I think I'm gonna have to go with the logo himself, Jerry West. I think I'm gonna have to take Jerry West. I think that's a really good pick.
Definitely a good pick. I think just saying the logo speaks for itself. So, 3, it's your turn. What are you going to do now? You've already drafted Magic Johnson and Tim Duncan. Who's the 3rd player on your team?
So when Anuj said he was going to draft a player with 1 championship, I was scared he was going to take my guy, but I'm going to take one of the big men who's really changed floor spacing and stretching the floor, and I'm going to take Dirk Nowitzki. He is his 2011 playoff run. I'm just going to explain how efficient he was. He shot 48.5% from the field, 46% from three-point range, and 94% from the free throw line, and he won the championship. That is undoubtedly one of the greatest runs for a big man, anybody. And he kind of just did this his whole career until like the last few years. So I'm going to take Dirk.
Legendary championship run, and I think, again, when he retired a few years ago, everyone in basketball was sad, a legend of the game. So now with the 5th pick is in this round, Zach, who do you have your eye on?
Dude, Shree stole my pick. He stole the tall baller from the G, as he's on Basketball Reference. And that's one of the reasons why I love Basketball Reference. They have just such the like random nicknames for everyone. Like I'm pretty sure Channing Frye is known as Buffet of Goodness. But anyway, we have nicknames. I'm gonna go with the round mound of rebound, Charles Barkley.
That's a good pick. Barkley could literally do everything on the basketball court.
I got boards on my team. I got points. I got spacing. I like it so far.
It's a pretty even team, and yeah, Charles Barkley is again the first few years of his career was really, really good. I think held off a little bit. Neil, last pick of this round comes down to you. There's a lot of people that have been taken off the board, but there's still some great players on there. Who do you have?
All right, I think I am going to take arguably also one of the best scorers in the NBA of all time. Surprised also he's not off the board yet. I'm going with Karl Malone, the mailman. No championships, but like what, 2-time MVP, 4-time All-Star, 4-time All-NBA, 52% field goal percentage for his career.
I think you mean like 14-time. I don't know if he was like a 4-time All-Star.
Oh, 14.
14, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I might have misspoke. Yeah, 14.
Isn't that one is important there? But yeah, I think
Yeah.
it's a pretty good pickup. So now you have another slot to fill. There's a fourth pick on your team, back-to-back picks again. So are you gonna try and get a point guard to supply Karl Malone with that pick and roll, or who do you have? You haven't picked a guard yet, so.
You know what? We all know who my favorite player of all time is, and I would be stupid to not have him on my all-time team. So picking up D-Wade.
Oh, man.
Think of like the 2010s D-Wade or like the 2000s D-Wade. Big one I want.
People forget that early 2010s D-Wade was still nasty. He was still like a top 7-8 player in the league.
Like the 06 finals was like arguably one of the best finals performances of all time.
He did really, really pull through for the team during the finals.
He did.
Definitely an all-time performance, and honestly, a great pick. Yeah. So Zach, with the second pick in this round, who's your fourth player that's going to be joining Curry, Barkley, and Will Chamberlain on your team?
So I'm reaching a little bit. I'm looking at this list of top players of all time. I am reaching a little bit, but I have to go with the man that broke my heart in 2013, Ray Allen. Prettiest jump shot of all time, Ray Allen.
Okay,
Wow.
that is a big shock to almost all of us, I think. Definitely reaching a really big reach. But,
Wait, Zach, who's your point guard?
Steph Curry.
Steph. Okay, Steph and Ray makes sense.
I think my strategy is beginning to expose itself a little bit.
I'm good spacing with those two.
I don't know about that defense though. That's a little bit of an issue.
See, my
You gotta
thing is you don't need to defend. I feel like modern NBA has taught us you don't need to defend when you're just faster and can shoot better. But we'll see. We'll see at the Rose session.
Or if you have Wilt on your team, you don't need to guard anybody.
Yeah.
All right, am I up next, Ani?
yeah, you are. It is your turn.
Read out my team.
So far, you have Magic, Dirk, and Tim Duncan.
Okay, that sounds nice.
Don't even know your own team. Come on.
No,
dude.
I just wanted him to say it. It just sounds nice. Okay, I'm semi-lacking perimeter defense right now, so I'm gonna take Scottie Pippen because I know he's gonna guard almost anybody. He's gonna score. He can lock down in the playoffs. When Jordan didn't play the 1 year he retired, like Pippen was a very fringe MVP candidate. He still finished like top 5, I'm pretty sure. I'm gonna make sure I pay him on my team because he was the most underpaid player of all time. But yeah, I'm gonna take Scottie.
I think you broke a lot of people's hearts. I was thinking a lot of people wanted to take Scotty, but
And that was my pick right there. That was my pick.
I can see it in your face, Dish. I can really see it in your face.
That was a tough pick.
In lieu of Scotty, who are you going to take now?
I think I'm gonna have to go with Kawhi Leonard. He led the Raptors to a championship last year, and he was definitely like one of. He still has a lot of time in his career to prove himself, but I definitely think he's a really solid pick for this team.
Your team is shaping up really good defensively. You have both Kobe and Kawhi, so
Also scorers.
yeah, also scores. But compared to Zach's team, the defense is definitely a little uppity.
We'll score 300 points a game. We don't need to defend. We'll just ignore that.
We'll have 100 of them, dude.
Anuj, so with the second last pick in this round, you have some choices ahead of you.
Kawhi was my pick. I was so ready to pick Kawhi. I was like, oh God, my team will be defensive. Jesus. I'm gonna have to take this guy's might be a little underrated for this. Actually, no, I'll pick him later. I'll pick up Tracy McGrady.
Of course. Of
C-Mac.
course.
I was
That
arguing.
is-
I was arguing about it to you yesterday. I just think like in the 5-year prime, he was dropping 30. He was still passing the ball. He can defend. He's 6'8". He can play 2 through maybe 4. Maybe not in this fantasy, but he could probably play the 3. So that's a great pick.
I think it definitely is a really good pickup. You've left me with some very difficult choices.
There's one player I can't believe hasn't been drafted yet.
I think for my pick right now, I'm gonna have to go. I need a point guard, so I'm gonna have to go Oscar Robertson for me personally.
Thank you.
The way he plays was a triple double machine before that padding Russell Westbrook was.
Really?
Sorry,
Really?
I insulted Russell Westbrook tree.
No, we don't need to bring that here. We don't need this. We don't need the slander today.
Surprised you haven't picked him up yet, dude.
No, not for an all-time team, unfortunately.
So the fourth round is now over. So I will show our viewers what the teams are shaping up like. So the listeners, Team Ani, myself, I have Oscar Robertson, Michael Jordan, Larry Bird, and Hakeem Olajuwon. Team Shree has a very nice sounding team, as he likes to say. Is Magic Johnson, Scottie Pippen, Dirk, and Tim Duncan. Team Anuj has T-Mac, Tracy McGrady, LeBron James, Kevin Garnett, and Shaquille O'Neal. Team Zach has Steph Curry, Ray Allen, Charles Barkley, and Will Chamberlain. Team Dish has Jerry West, Kobe Bryant, Kawhi Leonard, and Bill Russell. And finally, Team Neal has Dwayne Wade, Kevin Durant, Karl Malone, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. So very interesting picks in the last 2 rounds. Some wild ones. Ones that pop out to me right now. Ray Allen for sure by Team Zach. Very surprising. I'm not going to say it wasn't a good pick, but very surprising. And dished in a lot of hearts taking Kawhi Leonard. So
I think T-Mac was a good pick in terms of constructing a team. I mean, obviously in terms of the all-time rankings, it's a little questionable, but I mean, when we're comparing these teams later, I think the T-Mac pick makes more sense.
yeah, definitely.
Thank you.
And some hard decisions left for me with the 5th pick now. Really scrolling through this list and trying to see who's left to take. And I'm gonna have to take the legend himself, Dr. J, Julius Erving. I think with the people left, I need one more big man on my team, and I really think Dr. J would complement my team pretty well. So that's what I'm gonna take, Julius Erving, the legend.
All right, Anuj, who do you have?
Well, I'm looking for a point guard, but the point guard has to be decent at defense. I don't want him getting destroyed by any of the other point guards. So I'm gonna have to take Chris Paul.
Oh, I did not expect that.
I think late 2000s Chris Paul dropping 20 and 10 with 3 steals would be great two-way.
Wow.
That old CP3 had some clamps. He played some defense, yeah.
Even CP3 on the Thunder today is a very good point guard in the league, and he's definitely health-wise not the same that he was in the early 2010s.
Yeah, you just need people with IQ to, boss the other people around.
He's the
He was
point
great in
guard.
Lob City. He was great in New Orleans. So very, very good pickup. Dish, now it's your turn. A lot of choices. Who are you going to fill your starting lineup with?
I don't know. I think I'm gonna have to conclude my starting lineup with I think Rick Barry. I think he adds a good I think that's a good pick. Warriors, strong Warriors team. He had pretty good shooting, so I'll take that.
He shot like this, huh? Free throw line?
Free throw line.
That's all I know about Rick Barry is his free throw shot. I know very little else.
He's a great scorer. You got to see the black and white tapes to know how he played, though.
Huge pickup from Dish, and now we're on to Shree. Are you going to fill your starting lineup with? Who are you going to complement with? As you said, a very good sounding team.
See, the thing with Magic is that I don't need another guy who handles the ball a lot, but there's so many good guards left that it feels like a crime not to pick them. Oh my God. I'm going to leave James Harden. I'm not taking him. I'm going to take Clyde Drexler. I'm going to take a perfect complementary shooter to pair alongside these guys I already have. he's a very underrated defender throughout his career. And I feel like if Michael Jordan wasn't playing at the same time Clyde Drexler was, more people would be talking about him to this day.
Definitely a very underrated player, as all of us are nodding along. So yeah, that was a good pick. Man, I should have picked him earlier, but very, very, very good pick. And now we have Zach coming up to you. Who are you going to fill your starting lineup with?
Now I've made some unpopular decisions as of far, and I don't think I'm going to change it for my last pick. With my last pick, I'm going with Reggie Miller.
Oh, dude, he was going to be my sixth man.
Oh,
Solid
sorry
pick.
for me.
Solid.
He's a good wing. I feel like his game would translate today too, in like the 3-and-D type, lengthy, can shoot the three. Love it.
He was one of the first guys to like use gravity on the basketball court. Like people would just stay attached to him. He would create so many chances for his teammates just by moving off ball. That's a great pick.
That's the thing. My team you can't double anyone on my team. We just have a bunch of guys running around shooting threes.
You also have a bunch of guys now guarding anybody.
Shooting, a lot of scoring.
We're not even going to run down the field to play defense. That's the thing. We're just going to wait. We're going to wait for the ball to come to the offense.
Right.
A lot of perimeter scoring, a lot of perimeter shooting in your team. And 4 pretty great scorers, and then you have Charlie Parker, who's also pretty good scorer in his own right. So, nice team shaped up so far. So, Neil, last pick in the 5th round. Who do you have your eye on to complete your starting lineup?
I'm caught because I do have a good amount of scoring ability in my lineup. You know what? I think I'm going to take one of the low-key underrated but still like best two-way players, like point guards of all time. And if you have Karl Malone, you got to have John Stockton. So I'm going to take John Stockton.
You got 2/5 of the Utah Jazz, man. Congrats.
Why, thank you. No championships, but I'm going to take it.
It's okay. I think Kareem helps the championship.
Yeah.
But you have one more pick, your bench player, your 6th man. Who are you going to take to help complement your team so far?
I want to take someone who could do almost anything, could ball handle very moderately, but could still be a dominant scorer both inside and even at the perimeter, building up a three-point game. Soon we'll probably win a championship. I got to go with Giannis off the bench.
I was waiting for that pick. I was wondering if he was just going to get left out of this draft.
Yeah,
I thought he was. I didn't think anyone would take him.
Because with all the ball handlers, you need a little bit of space. Also,
Yeah.
ball handlers. So
true.
Nice.
Back to you. Or you're going to complete your team. If you're going to have another very questionable call, or you're going to go safe with it here?
I'll let you be the judge. But you know what? You primed me as a Spurs fan coming into this draft, so it's only right. I'm going to take 6-man legend, Spurs legend, Argentinian legend, male pattern baldness legend, Manu Ginobili.
Good pick. Good pick.
He's not gonna mind coming off the bench either, so I don't have to worry about the team chemistry.
Were you drafting the 6-man with the intention that they've kind of been familiar with the role before, or were you just?
Yeah, he thrives. His ego's not gonna take over the team. It's not gonna destroy the clubhouse.
That's interesting.
Definitely a good pick, and I think of all the people drafted, he's the person that primarily in his career was known for being a 6th man, but still, a great NBA player. So
also, as a Spurs fan, it's only right. It feel wrong.
You gotta have one Spurs player on your team. No, I feel that. So, Shri, back to you now to close out your team. Who are you gonna pick?
Dude, it feels wrong to call any of these players left a 6th man. Like there's nobody that. Oh my God! You know what? I'm gonna take another guy who can do a lot of things on a basketball court. He can score. He wasn't necessarily the best outside shooter, but I don't really have to worry about outside shooting with my team at this point. I need another player who can just lock down on defense and play the guard spot to help Magic Johnson when he needs some rest or whatever. I'm gonna take Gary Payton. I had to.
Nobody's scoring anymore, dude.
A solid pick right there.
Very, very good defender. Pretty good offensively as well. But really good pick, Shri, to close out your team. So now you have Dish. Who are you going to close your team out with? There are a lot of options out here for you, so I'm very curious to see who you have your eye on?
I think I gotta close my team out, show some love to the Bay. I gotta close it out with Klay Thompson.
Oh,
Gotta have Klay Thompson on my team. That's a dime.
I had a whole speech about Clay
Good
coming for my
perimeter
pick.
shooting.
Jeez,
I can round out my defensive team with some good 3-point shooting.
Hey, are we doing trades in this?
Hey, y'all can come to me for my trades. I ain't trading anyone.
I wasn't talking about Clay. I was just saying in general.
Oh,
I
well,
don't know
yeah.
about trades, but
Yeah, Clay's amazing pick. That was going to be my pick. Really hate that because I wanted a little bit of spacing. I might just go the entire opposite way since I have two ball handlers and LeBron and Chris Paul. They can both play point. So if Chris Paul's out, I can just go big, and I'm going to take Anthony Davis. I think he can lock down at least 2 to 3 positions, and Garnett can sometimes play the 3. It's a very iffy thing. I just want a large team now. So, yeah.
AD and Garnett on the court at the same time is terrifying. That is truly scary.
Maybe even put Shaq at the 5, Garnett at the
Oh.
3.
No, like
Not too much spacing, but Garnett and AD are decent shooters. So, I'm fine with that.
so with the last pick in this draft, there's a lot of options for me to choose. A lot of players that I'm trying to fill my team with. I think my team honestly needs some pure shooting.
Devin Booker.
I was really thinking about it, but I think I'm gonna have to go with James Harden to fill my 6th man. I really need some pure shooting. I feel like I have the defense okay, but I really need some shooting.
Do you think Jordan will like Harden on the team?
You know what?
I think the question
I don't
is.
know.
I think the question
chemistry
is.
issues.
The issue is, will Harden like Jordan on his team?
Nobody's gonna be liking anybody there.
You know, I think Ginobili was a career 6-man player, but Harden started out his career on the bench for the Thunder. So I think he's sort of used to that role. So, you know, maybe he'll. I think arguably everyone on my team is better than he is. So I don't think he'll mind it. That's definitely a lie. He's going to be really mad. But it is what it is. You know? It is what it is. But now let's show our viewers and let's tell our listeners what these teams are. So my team, Team Ani, I have Oscar Robertson, Michael Jordan, Larry Bird, Dr. J, Julius Irving, Hakeem Olajuwon, and James Harden on the bench. Team Tree has Magic Johnson, Clyde Drexler, Scottie Pippen, Dirk Nowitzki, Tim Duncan, and on the bench, Gary Payton. Team Manooch has Chris Paul, Tracy McGrady, LeBron James, Kevin Garnett, Shaquille O'Neal, and on the bench, Anthony Davis, Team Zach. Starting guards are Steph Curry and Ray Allen, Reggie Miller and Charles Barkley, and Will Chamberlain round out his starting lineup, and he is Manu Ginobili on the bench. Team Dish has Jerry West, Kobe Bryant, Rick Barry, Bill Russell, and Klay Thompson. And finally, Team Neal has John Stockton, Dwayne Wade, Kevin Durant, John Stockton's partner in crime, Karl Malone, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and finally Giannis. So with that out of the way, seeing how the draft shook up, let's start with this roast session. So let's start with last pick first. Neil, why do you think your team's the best? Or if you don't think it's the best, whose team do you think is the best?
This is tough. Like everyone's teams are pretty well-rounded, I'd say. I'll say I definitely like my team just from the standpoint of I feel like it's very well-rounded, and if I need, like people forget that even like Prime D Wade was a top defender too. So I don't know, at the guard position, even inside, I feel like the front court's solid. The backcourt might be a little bit slow, but I feel like all in all, just the scoring potential and still like all around defensive potential is pretty not bad with my team. So I think it could definitely compete pretty well.
You want to roast any of the teams in particular, any of the picks that you think were kind of iffy, or are you gonna be a nice guy for this one?
I mean, Zach, I don't know about Reggie Miller in your starting 5. Among your options, Ginobili is one of the best like 6 men of all time. But just among the other options, like I'm surprised AI didn't even go off at all, just because he could do a lot too, scoring options wise. And then Dish, just Clay on the bench, I guess. I mean, I don't know. I still feel like Clay's a very good scorer, but in terms of overall efficiency, I'm caught. Like not bad picks. They're still like if Clay's having a good day or even Mon is having a good day, it's still pretty nasty. But yeah, it's tough.
Neil, I want to ask you about your Giannis pick. So
Yeah.
you have three like very big players already, right? You have Durant, you have Malone, you have Kareem. Like, were you thinking about taking any guard depth with your six man?
Uh, yeah, I know. I thought about it, but see with KD, I feel like he's a little more than obviously your traditional big man. I guess like the only thing is the team might be a little bit slower. But all in all, even Giannis, see, I feel like Giannis is almost the best of both worlds if you don't have LeBron as an option, just because he's like what 7 foot dude. He can ball handle. Just he's still very average at his ball handling abilities, but it's just getting better and better. And he's building a scoring game too. So I felt like if Giannis was an option, and I kind of needed someone to take care of more on the court than just like moving the ball around and having like a quicker backcourt, I thought Giannis was just someone I kind of wanted to take.
Because I thought you drafted well, but
Yeah.
I feel like there's not enough spacing, I guess. Like obviously we know Durant is like he once he crosses half court he's in range, right? But
Right.
Stockton is a percentage wise great 3-point shooter, but he never shot in volume, right? Like his primary offense was creating off the pick and roll with Karl Malone, and like D Wade is like a notoriously reluctant 3-point shooter, and then obviously Malone and Abdul Jabbar, like they're like masters of like that 15 feet and inside area. So I don't know. That just seemed concerning looking at your team, but I don't know.
I think the reason I went with Stockton was just because I feel like with all the potential scoring ability, especially with a pick and roll potential, or just like working in the paint, I need someone better to facilitate it rather than just kind of have like scoring as a primary option. Because then I thought about like maybe Steve Nash or Jason Kidd, or even like CP3, but CP3 got taken. So I thought John Stockton was like a pretty good option for that. But yeah, in terms of spacing, I definitely see your argument.
Some notable people that didn't get drafted. I'll just name some of them: Moses Malone, uh, Elgin Baylor, David Robinson, Allen Iverson, Steve Nash, Isaiah Thomas, John Havlicek, Jason Kidd, and Kevin McHale. So there's a lot of guards, especially a lot of ball handling guards, pass first guards that got left off. So I'm really curious for some people that kind of needed that maybe on their team as to why they didn't draft that with their sixth man. But Zach, you kind of got roasted a bit by Neil. You want to defend yourself and you want to roast him a little bit?
I mean, all I'm gonna say is I hesitated to draft anyone that wasn't playing before 1980. And I know that doesn't apply to him, but like other teams like Dish's team, like Dish has Jerry West and Rick Barry. They don't necessarily know where to line up for the three. Like I have a monopoly on 3-point shooting, and I think for that I drafted perfectly.
Wait,
Zach,
just to defend Dish over here, like Jerry West was shooting it from. That's why he's got the logo. He was shooting it from the logo. I'm pretty sure he knows. Like if he's shooting from 30, it doesn't matter if the three's at 23, 22, 24 feet. He's gonna be shooting at three. I don't think he really cares about that.
Yeah,
Sure, but I'm saying I have the
focus
top
was
three.
on scoring and passing with Jerry West. So I think, yeah, I mean it's definitely considered like it's kind of hard to like think like, oh, how would they play in like our time? But like I mean it could shape out well with like Jerry West playing in this era, I guess.
so Zach, I wanted to ask you, like when you took Ray first in the draft, right? Like before Reggie.
I did, yeah.
I'm really surprised. I thought it would be the other way around because I think Reggie's a better shot creator. I think he does more on a basketball court than Ray. And I feel like having both of them is kind of redundant.
Well, I think in his prime, Ray Allen was pretty versatile. I think a lot of us think about Heat Ray Allen, or maybe even Celtics Ray Allen, when he was kind of just a spot up shooter.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Ray and Reggie kind of will complement each other. I get how they're similar, but I think having two of them and Steph, so basically the best three-point shooters on the court, is going to be a disaster to guard.
That's true. Offensively, your team is stacked. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, again, I guess we're just going to give up on defense. We're not having any all defensive team members.
I think, Zach, your team of all the teams is pretty modern in the sense of you've really committed to the three. And you've really committed to the sort of NBA of today where defense isn't highly sought after, but shooting is really sought after. So it's more of a modern team than some of the other more traditional lineups that we have.
Yeah, I think my team's living in the future. Is that what you're saying, Ani?
I don't know. I feel like the best teams in the game right now don't really rely on the three. Like the Lakers, the Bucks, they have the best defensive like stats, but their offense, they don't really shoot too many threes compared to like the Rockets and the Warriors back.
Okay, I get how like the Rockets are always criticized, like they live and die by the three. Like my team's that way, but we're not relying on Daniel House to make threes. We have Steph, Ray Allen, and Reggie Miller. I think that's pretty reliable.
No, I mean from 2014 to like the end of that Warriors Raptors series, like the best teams in the league were consistently the Cavs and the Warriors, and those teams shot like record numbers of threes per game. So I get the logic, and I don't know. I think Ginobili's the best like playmaker on your team, which is weird.
Spark plug off the bench. It does look a little silly when now that I look at the spreadsheet, Ginobili next to other bench players like Harden and Giannis. But I stand by it as a proud Spurs fan.
No, I think you have to stand by your picks. So actually, I think of all the picks that I stand by, you got to stand by the Manu pick. I think if anyone was drafting a six-man Manu, I wouldn't complain about that. But Anuj, you also have a pretty interesting team with Tracy McGrady lined up next to LeBron James and Kevin Garnett. You really have a lot of length starting from the guards. The rest of your team is pretty big. You have one of the best big men of all time, Shaquille O'Neal. Also, Anthony Davis on the bench, pretty crazy and really good shot creator in Chris Paul. But some people might be questioning your T-Mac pick. Why did you choose T-Mac over some of the other players like Bill Walton, for example, that I had that were above T-Mac on?
Yeah, I mean, I was looking for a shooting guard, and Wade had just been picked, and I was looking for someone who could guard the 2 and 3, so he's a decent defender and he can shoot over anyone. Like Kobe said that T-Mac could score on anyone one-on-one, and I feel like he also, like, even though his percentages weren't great when he shot, I mean, he was double teamed a lot, but he would fling it from like 30, and like he was one of the first guys, him, Gilbert Arenas, like those guys would just fling it from like in like the middle of the 2000s, and they would just from 30. So I was like, I just need guys who can shoot. I mean, I really wanted Clay for my six man, but I just went the complete opposite way, and I was like, I'll just lock down in the inside D. If anyone comes in the paint, they're just gonna get knocked down.
AD's evolving into a better three-point shooter every single day, so
Yeah, I feel like my big man, except for Shaq, obviously, but like Garnett and AD, great mid ranges, decent 3-pointers. I feel like Garnett in today's day, like give him a year of shooting threes, and I feel like he could shoot them at least 35, 36 clip. And they're locking, like Garnett could lock down 2 guards and 3 guards, 3 wings. So I feel like just both ways they would be amazing.
Anuj, are you concerned about touches on your team? Because I know Chris Paul is one of the highest usage rate players in NBA history, and then alongside that you have Shaq, who's like going to require his touches for sure. And then I don't even want to say like throw in LeBron James because like he's the second best player of all time. But how would you see them managing that?
I mean, Chris Paul's played with James Harden, which is a guard, like not even a center, but a guard who takes away the ball with like a 35-40% usage. And if he plays with him, he'd be fine. He has great, like with Shaq, he can always do the pick and roll. So Shaq won't have to just post up all the time, but he can just be rolling and just like posterizing everyone. LeBron, I mean, he's played with Wade, he's played with Bosh, he's played with Kyrie, so he knows how to play a little bit off ball. I feel like Chris Paul would definitely be like that second playmaker. LeBron would definitely be the number one option in terms of like assists and playmaking, the same thing like Harden and Chris Paul did. But I feel like these guys are facilitators. The only thing about my team would be maybe a little bit about the shooting, but I don't think the touches would be too big of a problem.
No, that makes sense.
For someone so into advanced metrics, the Tracy McGrady pick really stunned me because I think efficiency wise, I think Melo is more efficient.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, maybe, but my thing was also that on T-Mac's teams, until he like went with Yao, like he had like no help. He was doubled. It was like Kobe. Like Kobe's not that efficient. I mean, he's a little more efficient than McGrady, but like, McGrady was always doubled. Like you could see his playoffs. Like he would do so well. Like all the advanced metrics in the playoffs showed his win shares and everything was so high. He was just like he couldn't do anything to bring his team to win. Which I feel like when you have facilitators and other scorers and it's like a one-on-one, he could destroy other people one-on-one. Because you can't double in any of these like matchups. If any of our teams played each other, nobody's doubling anyone.
Speaking of Kobe, like rest in peace, the late great Kobe Bryant, but Dish, that was a very early Kobe pick.
I think my pick on Kobe, I was debating this a lot. Like it's a lot of like it's an interesting logic, like because you see all these videos that like Kobe is not the greatest of all time because like of his like the fact that his field goal percentage wasn't that high or like he wasn't really efficient off ball. But like one thing I would say about Kobe is he had more basketball like IQ. He had the highest basketball IQ. He can be very shifty in the way he scores. He has so many different like, I guess like just attack modes where he can go in the post, he can go in the paint, he can go like shoot at the 3-point line. So I think he's very like versatile in that aspect. And obviously the 5 championships, the 18 All-Stars. I mean, he has the accolades to his name. It's just like in terms of efficiency, he's also always had like Shaq on his team, or he had like Pau Gasol, Andrew Bynum, that whole stack lineup. Like it's definitely like I think Kobe just because he's for sheer scoring and like also like it's Kobe Bryant.
It's Kobe.
It's Kobe. It's Kobe. Like you can't say no to him.
Wait, I want to touch on the fact that Kobe is one of the best basketball IQs. I think he's a great athlete, amazing player. I feel like the amount of times he was triple teamed and didn't pass out of it shows maybe the IQ in those situations was a little low.
Yeah.
Like we always see the great, like he hits a game winner on 3 people and that's amazing. But they were like to one of those, there was always 3 like just bricks or air balls, or that one that Ron Artest caught the air ball and put it in that game winner. So I feel like
Kobe is not like I would say he's not like the most efficient player at times. Like he's definitely like not like he can be in situations where he's not the best IQ. But if you have him like one-on-one against anyone, I feel like he knows how to intimidate the other person to get to the point where he can find an open shot no matter what.
I agree.
I think
that's one-on-one.
One-on-one, because all of these would be one-on-ones. It's not like you're playing against like the Wizards right now and they have to just double the best player on the other team. Like everyone's a good offensive player. So like it's like Kobe one-on-one is a monster.
Yeah, I think there's a difference between having basketball IQ and being a student of the game. I think Kobe is one of the best students of the game. And what he picked up from MJ and like the contemporaries, like he implemented that every single game and no one did that better. But when you're saying ball IQ, like Chris Paul, I think has a better basketball IQ than Kobe Bryant. Like it ball IQ just matters more about like knowing like positions, like where people are on the court, how to get people open shots, like how to manipulate the game. And Kobe could manipulate individual defenders, but I don't think he did as well a job with like the entire team, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I would adjust like what I said to like make it like player or like a student of the game. I think that's better like way to describe Kobe instead of saying that he has good basketball IQ. But to talk about my other picks, like Bill Russell, that's sheer out of just because like Bill Russell's I would say he's the most dominant, but he's like he was getting like 23 rebounds throughout his career. He was I mean he's a pretty big dude, and like he got like so many championships against Wilt Chamberlain, and I'd say like that was a pick out of sheer like defense and size. And then Kawhi Leonard is like he's one of the best two-way players, I'd say. He's great at defense. He can find ways on offense. And I think this team honestly just gels well together because like they all have their specific roles and no one really like overlaps over each other. So they know specifically what they would need to do on the court.
I think looking at the team lineups, I think your team, Dish, and Zach's team are the teams that I think if you really put them on the court would surprisingly work well. I think, as you said, Dish, you have like your primary option in terms of Kobe Bryant, a great point guard in Jerry West. Rick Barry is a pretty good shooter, and Kawhi is a really good defender, but can play on ball as well. If Kobe's struggling, you got really good defense and lockdown in the paint and Bill Russell. And Zach's team, I feel like Reggie, Ray Allen, and Steph Curry can just chuck up threes, and then like Charles Barkley and Wilt Chamberlain will just be there to get the rebounds.
Yeah.
Like, if they get the rebound, they can put it back up, of course. But like you could do pick and rolls as well. There's a lot of options with your team. I think it actually might work pretty well together. I think at first I was pretty skeptical. But looking at it now, compared to a nudist team, personally, I think, as Aditya brought up, usage, I think a lot of players on a nudist team are pretty high usage, especially you have Chris Paul, LeBron James, and Shaq, who throughout their career, Chris Paul not as much, but LeBron James, Shaq, and even T-Mac were generally the primary ball handler, the primary person to get the ball and have really high usage. I just think it wouldn't a nudist players don't necessarily play super well off ball compared to the way Zach's players play well off ball. Ray Allen is another Steph Curry, super great off ball, and I think it would just work better and gel a lot better than maybe a newbie team.
I
Wait,
think one
I
thing
wanted to call out the two hosts here, Ani and Shri. What do you guys think about your spacing with Shri only having Dirk who can hit the three and Ani with only having Larry Bird hit the three?
So wait, I wanted to ask Ani first because not about the spacing. I'll address the spacing when I come to my team, but Ani, it's like he took a time machine from the 80s and 90s, moved it today, and you watched the first ISO player you could watch and took him. You have five guys who have never played in like modern basketball offenses with James Harden. So I want somewhat of an explanation for that.
Well, I think my draft is very much a product of the cards I was dealt. Like I had the first pick, I kind of had to take MJ.
Of
And
course.
then the next pick I got, like out of the players that were left, I thought Larry Bird and Hakeem were the two best players, and I thought Larry Bird will work pretty okay with MJ and I think Hakeem as well. And then when it came to taking Dr. J and Oscar Robertson, I felt like I needed a strong point guard and I needed a good forward. And then again, when it came down to it with James Harden, I think I was the last pick in the draft, and I think I really needed another shooter on my team. Larry Bird is basically the only shooter I have. So other than MJ, but MJ's 3-point percentage wasn't great throughout the year. So that's why I took James Harden. But I think in terms of my team overall, I'm not going 100% in all in on my team. I'm not going to say it's just the best team here, but I think surprisingly it looks a lot worse than it actually is. I think my team would work pretty well. I think just my starting five, even if you don't have James Harden, I think James Harden fits pretty well in my team. I think you can take out Larry Bird and put in James Harden. You can even take out MJ and put in James Harden, and my team still functions pretty well both on and off ball. And I think spacing might be an issue with only one shooter on my team, but I still think the fact that I have a few really good players that can drive really well. MJ is really good at driving, but also Larry Bird is amazing at driving, and I think that really creates some spacing issues. That MJ is driving and then kicks it out to like a Keem who can shoot like a nice mid range, or Oscar is driving down the lane and then he passes out to MJ for the quick elbow jumper. And I think the rebounding on my team is also very good. Every single person on my team is a very good all-around player defensively, but also rebounding. Oscar Robertson, triple double machine, and everybody else on my team pretty good at rebounding. So I think I'll have the rebounding edge and also just the spacing edge in terms of not super wide spacing, but I think a lot of driving and kicking out. So that's what I have to say about my team. Not the best because I got the first pick, and I think first pick is always the trickiest, but I think I did the best with the cards I was dealt.
Yeah, when you get the first pick of the draft, you're dealt the ultimate card. It's just how you surround that card afterwards.
Well, I think if it's like a regular fantasy draft or something where there's like 2 or 3 players and everyone else is like, okay, then yeah, of course. But in this situation where like the difference between MJ and like Kobe Bryant, or like the difference between MJ and like Magic Johnson isn't super far off. They're all great players. So I think in this situation, unlike some drafts where like having the first pick, if you're like doing an NBA draft, you draft Giannis, you're pretty set. In this situation, you're not necessarily set. There's a lot of things because players are a lot closer to each other in caliber.
Yeah, I think one of the challenges with this draft for me at least was like we're not just drafting the best players available, but we're trying to construct a team that just works, like that fits well together, right? So I guess I'm gonna just go over quick rationale for like my picks. Like for Magic, obviously I wanted someone who just knows how to get people the ball, but also doesn't get in the way of what others are trying to do. So he doesn't have like the highest usage rate amongst like elite point guards. Like he can do he was like a willing screener. He cut well. He could play in the post if he had to. Everyone remembers that like baby hook iconic shot in the finals. So he's very versatile in terms of his offensive floor game. And he's kind of a defender the same way Steph Curry is, right? Like he was surrounded by very good defenders, so his numbers kind of translated well, but he wasn't the best individual defender. And that kind of justifies my Gary Payton pick, right? Because everyone knows that Magic isn't going to lock down opposing point guards. So I need Gary Payton as a sixth man to kind of do all the little things that Magic doesn't do. That's what Gary's going to do. He's going to play dirty. He's going to rebound. He's going to scrap. He's going to do all those. He's going to be in passing lanes. He's going to block shots. So that's kind of those guard rationales. But obviously none of those two are like elite scorers. So that's why I took Clyde Drexler. And whoever took Kevin Durant, I was really pissed because he went early and I really, really wanted him. But that changes everything for me. Like after that, I was like, oh my God, there's no way I can do what I wanted to do initially. So I took Clyde, and he's like a competent 3-point shooter. I'm not going to say he's like an elite floor spacer or anything, but the dude averaged like 27, 28 points multiple years. So he can score. And that's one of, like, if I have one dude in my backcourt that can do that, that's fine with me. Like, Magic will already give me like that 19 and 11. Clyde is going to give me maybe like 25 and maybe like 6 boards or something like that. So I'm fine with that. He was usually pretty efficient. He had like true shooting percentages north of like 55% most of his career. So he was always above league average in terms of like his efficiency scoring the ball. And then
you had like James Harden as an option. Like
the only reason I didn't take Harden is because he is so ball dominant. Like, it's a waste of the other players' talent on my team if I took Harden. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, but it's like the team you have built around would fit a very strong scorer. Like, I'm thinking if you even just threw Michael Jordan at that same guard spot, it would work really well. If you just threw a primary scorer right there.
See, I wish I could throw Michael Jordan in that guard spot. Unfortunately, Ani had the first pick, so I had to adapt. But like when you're saying with Harden, like, I don't think my team works with Harden, right? Like Harden's
needs shooters.
idea, exactly. Like you were saying the other day, like Harden works best when surrounded with like elite 3-point shooting and sometimes like a secondary playmaker. And I have the playmakers, but I don't have the shooting. Like Dirk is my only top notch shooter. And
I think you with the triangle offense, your team with the triangle offense would be quite good.
That would
a lot
be
of passing, a lot of mid range.
Yeah.
I kind of based it off of like Phil Jackson's like Bulls offenses. I was drafting based like slotting the players in that system.
Sure, totally, yeah. Let's go with that. Yeah, of course. Now you're gonna say that. But,
Well, I have Scottie Pippen and I have Magic Johnson, who was like familiar with the concept of a triangle offense.
it's just all luck.
I just don't know if Dirk would do well with that because, like, if you're comparing Dirk to like what Dennis Rodman did for that team, I think it's
But
like
the thing is with that, like I have Tim Duncan to do all that work, right? Like Duncan's gonna rebound,
but
he's
it's still
gonna block
like Tim
shots.
Duncan at the same time, then you have to compare him to like Bill Wennington and stuff like that, like all the other centers on the team.
Well, if you're comparing Tim Duncan to Bill Wennington, I win that matchup.
No, okay, yeah. I mean, like other centers on that team, like any.
No,
center
but
on that team.
Magic Johnson can play like 1 through 5 basically. So I feel like that's a very good guy to have like on the
Yeah.
offense and defensive
Mhm.
side. Like he can on any switch, he's not going to be back down. He's not going to be exposed.
Yeah, Magic's
makes up for it pretty well.
huh?
No, yeah, Magic Johnson like makes up for any potential like gap in executing a triangle offense, even if he's
Exactly.
there. That's actually
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess Magic and Scotty can just slot wherever they want, and I think it'll work.
Yeah.
Yeah, all these teams look loaded. I think I'm like the anti-Zach team.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I think the only problem I have with Zach's team is it's kind of small ball. Like in comparison to every other team, it's kind of like everyone's a little like shorter than the rest of the players, and I think that's the only like place you would have a difficulty. Like you have shooters, but then when it comes to defense, like obviously your team might struggle a bit with like Ray Allen's not going to be able to stop Kobe to the like if you had someone like Tony Allen, yeah, like you could stop Kobe, but Ray Allen's not going to be able to stop Kobe or like Dwayne Wade or even like Michael Jordan. So
I think you just have to rate that Zach shoots at. Like if he's shooting threes at a 40% clip, you're gonna have to be like scoring at like a 60% clip from the two.
Yeah.
So it's like he's just really living and dying by the three. Like if he's hitting them, like I don't know if any of our teams could beat that.
Yeah, again,
Like
my
we
team
can't shoot 65.
Go ahead.
I just muted. Oh, but I was just saying like nobody can really shoot 65 from two. So like if you're hitting 40, 42 from three consistently on like 50 threes a game, it's gonna be a problem.
Yeah, because
my team's living in the future because I think we all agree that Tree's team is like a triangle offense. Phil Jackson. I guess mine's more of a like a D'Antoni 6 seconds or less type of offense.
Mm-hmm.
And like what a new shit. I feel like my team on their worst day can still outscore a lot of these other teams on their good days just based on 3-point versus 2 points.
Bro, because your worst day, Steph, Ray, and Reggie are all gonna shoot like at least 35% from three, and that's still like league average. So
wait, but you have to also look at it like even on your like, but every day is our best day against your team because our team will be eating, on the boards, on the mismatches. So it's like every team who plays your team is the best day. So you guys got to be shooting well.
I still have Charles Barkley and Will Chamberlain, so I'm not even too worried about the rebounds. I guess my team is undersized for the most part,
Yeah.
except but still.
Yeah, but also like Reggie Miller was a great defender for his he shut down Michael Jordan. Like he's a great defender.
Yeah, I wouldn't say
I wouldn't say
I would say
shut
shut down.
I don't-
Okay, yeah, but he was still a
I
really
don't
good
think averaging like 33 is a shutdown or anything, but like yeah, he did have like effort, and
Yeah.
he stopped him a little bit, like as much as you could, as much as anyone could.
as much as yeah.
I
And
think
then
I think
also,
I think
Steph
Gary
Curry
Payton.
doesn't get credit enough for being a good defender. Like he plays the
Yeah.
ball really well. Like he's a
Yeah,
very
people say he's like a Ray Allen, but I feel like he's like Ray Allen, but just better at defense.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like-
I think Curry is definitely a really good defender.
Curry
Yeah, I
plays
feel like
passing lanes really well.
Mhm.
Anyone willing to concede that someone else's team is better than theirs? Or is everyone standing by theirs?
But also, like, are we saying our team? Because like I was also like my team can play in any we can play in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, 2010s.
If we
So it's
set
like
out a specific like time, I think that would.
No, I mean, yeah, like if we set a time before the draft, I think our draft would also be different. Like if we said, oh, in the
Mhm.
2010s, then we're like, okay, like Zach's team might have an edge over other teams because like just like with like the foul calling and the spacing that we have. But like if you like throw Zach's team in like the 80s, like with all the hand checking and stuff, like that's a completely different thing. So like even with mine, like if you have mine just in like 2020, I think I would have a little bit of a problem with spacing.
I think the 2000s would be a perfect time then, just a middle ground between both. It was like you still had the aggressive players, but you had like the
Yeah,
like,
I think 90s, 2000s, in that
against,
little mid. Yeah, that would be a good
the
time to
90s
have.
and the 20 era, the 2000s.
Would a more fair comparison just be to compare these lineups against each other instead of doing it in an era-based like judging criteria?
Yeah,
I think for me, when I was thinking of it, when I was thinking of all time, so which you draft, no matter what team you like or what era you put this team in, it could.
Yeah, that's
be,
what I'm saying. Whatever, like it can be in any era,
Yeah.
basically. Like you can play in any of those eras. I mean, we could just create all these teams in 2K and have a little playoff battle. If anyone has like an Xbox or PS4.
I mean, ultimately, what we're going to do is we're going to get our listeners and viewers to decide. So we're going to put a poll on our Instagram podcast all locked in and have them decide which of these teams is best. But I was just wondering if anybody here, while drafting and seeing somebody else's team, was like, okay, objectively, that team is better. I was going to say initially, but I think I stand by my team, actually.
What were you going to say initially? What were you going to say initially? You have to say it.
And initially, I was going to say, like, compared to the other 5 teams, like, I think my team lacks in terms of, like, somewhat chemistry in a sense. But I think looking at it more just the way these guys play, I think it actually works pretty well. So.
Yeah, chemistry is a hard thing to judge, too. I feel like if the only thing is chemistry, it's not really, like, a big factor.
Yeah, that is true.
your team's essentially the dream team. So like at that point, like they did play together. Like
No, actually, yeah. My team
this is
Yeah.
essentially the dream team. So
Yeah, so,
I think yours is just a little bit of size on your team, too. Like, you have a ton of wings. Robertson, you could even say is a wing at a point, like just his size and his length. You just basically have, like, 4 wings.
yeah, but I think for me, the thing I like about my team a lot is the fact that everyone can like run down the floor. Everyone can rebound as well. It's a pretty
Super high energy. Super high energy.
Exactly. So
Nobody's
that
slow.
plays
Like, your
really well.
center is extremely fast
Exactly.
for a center.
Like the only concern with your team, if there even is a concern, is like the shooting.
And the rebounding.
No,
I just feel like
the
size.
everyone on my team can rebound pretty well.
But they're all, like, 6'8" and rebounding compared to, like, if you look at, like Neil's team, like, with Malone and Jabbar and Durant at the 3, or, like, my team with Shaq, Garnett, LeBron, Anthony Davis. Like, I feel like it's just, like, 6'10", 6'11", big bodies is, like, a little bit of a problem.
Don't forget for Neil's team, there's Giannis coming off the bench too.
Exactly. So you have Giannis with those, like, 14 rebounds. Obviously, it wouldn't be 14 in this, but, like, like, with a ton of rebounds as well.
I think that wraps up what was a pretty great locked-in podcast episode and what was a pretty great NBA all-time draft. So I want to thank everyone for coming on, for sharing this experience. It was a really good experimental episode for us, but I think it turned out pretty well. It was really fun. And for anyone that's watching and that's listening, go to our Instagram, podcast.locked-in, and help us decide what you guys think is the best team. So
Yeah, huge shout out to all our guests. We'll be putting this episode up on YouTube. We'll have it on our regular Spotify, Apple Music, everything. We have a website now. We mentioned it last episode, but again, it's www.lockedinpod.com. We'll be posting maybe a follow-up article. It will be our first article on the website. So stay on the lookout for that. And yeah, I guess that's it.
yeah, thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for watching. And as always, stay safe. Wash your hands.
Wash your hands, people. Peace.